This is Spirit Journey, and today is May 11th, 2017, and it's about 4 p.m., and I'm going to do my final discussion of the book, as I promised about 2 weeks ago, The Spiritual Mysteries of Blood in Power to Transform Body, Mind, and Spirit. It was a very good book, and I did take a lot of notes, even though it's not a big book, but it has a lot of information, and it was enjoyable to read. What the book is about is that the blood itself serves as in my words, like a bridge between your body's response and your consciousness. And these are some of the things that the book said. So I have my notes here. The naturopath believes that the mind does not originate in the brain, but the spirit. So I thought that was interesting. That was on page 2. I continue to say, how does nutrition help the spirit then, if the mind/mood, or your emotions, is not controlled by the body directly? Okay? And then I have here, based on the book, In the Light of Truth, The Grill Message by Oscar Ernest Bernhardt, and he is also known as Abd Ru-Shin, and he lived between, the book might have been written, between 1923 and 1937. Okay, this author, Bernhardt, he says that the blood is to keep or to join, body and spirit together, and the change of its function will ultimately affect our perception of reality around us. That was a key thing. And this author, Bernhardt, is the author that this author is basing his work on primarily. And this author is Christopher Vasey. This author quotes a lot of the author Bernhardt. The basis of the book is about the blood serving as that bridge. And he gets that, the author Vasey gets that, has that belief based on Bernhardt's work. So I thought it was really interesting that about perception of reality. And so that's where I'm at this time in my life, about what is reality. And it's something, because now that I'm getting older and your body changes. And if you change, I'm sure that the blood in my body is changing too. And according to the author, both authors, that it affects your perception of reality. That is something. And I'm wondering whether, I made mention about 2 videos ago that I've done, that I have what's called vertigo. I had it about a little over a week now, and I'm wondering whether or not, I wonder what's causing it. And there are many things that could cause vertigo, but I'm wondering whether it's a shift. And like a lot of people who are on the spiritual quest, or some people call the New Age movement, that there's to be a shift, an energy shift due to the planets or something like that, and that this change of energy is going to affect our bodies. And it's that the planets are increasing the energy levels, and that we have to get in tune with it so that we will elevate or increase our energy as well. And so they advise you to eat a fruit and plant-based diet to help you with the shift. And so I have been trying to eat more veggies and things like that. Okay, the next thing I have here, the author notes that some religions have fasting which are known to uplift one's spirit. Okay, that was on page 11. And then on page 20, the notes I have here is that scientists can trigger the brain to cry, to have fear and aggression. And I question, can this be done remotely? And I wrote down, watch out. So look at that. Here you have the thing about the blood. And if they know certain things could affect your mood, don't you notice that in everyday situation, you look at the news and how things are just going just haywire? And so I'm wondering if we're being manipulated remotely and it's triggering certain behavior responses out there. And I also continue and say, your emotions are programs, but not the spirit. And in brackets I wrote you. So I'm indicating here, like we have emotions. And it's the emotions are not us. And I have to learn that because I was very rooted in my emotions. I thought my emotions were the me, what we call the personality. But I'm learning that it's not. It's just like an accessory. It responds to certain stimuli. But then I have here about the spirit. The spirit, the real you, is a different entity. And it's really, that concept is really interesting. And it's something I want to really focus on, and I want to learn how to really get into these meditations and tap into that real me. And I think in a later video, I'm going to share some other things that has been happening to me. This other vision that I had during a meditation session that I had yesterday. Okay, my next response here, based on page 25 of the book, I wrote the question, could plants astral project since they have spirit? I asked this after reading about the PLR in a child as past life regression. So in the book they made mention about that plants have consciousness because they have energy, and things that have energy within it has some type of consciousness or awareness. And so I was wondering, could these plants, could they astral project their thoughts somewhere? Because the book is saying that they have spirit. If it has consciousness, it has a spirit. So my notes when I was referring to past life regression, that it's moving from one awareness to another. So if plants have this awareness, perhaps they have had past life regressions also. I mean, I don't know. But it was just a thought that I had. And I do have another book that I will be reading. I don't know when I'm going to get to that book, but I have a book about the plant world and its communications with people. So I can't wait to get into that. I started to read it a couple of months back, but it was getting real deep. But I think you enjoy it though. On page 27, I have here my notes. In the Grill Message book, that's that other book that this author primarily gets his work from. In the Grill Message book, he speaks about Jesus and that Jesus was really talking about different spiritual planes when Jesus says, in my Father's house, in brackets heaven, there are many rooms. Interesting, isn't that? So now, I haven't read the Bible since 2013, but since on my new spiritual journey, I think if I do read the Bible, that I'm going to be reading it with different eyes, through the eyes of this world is only 6,000 years old, and we're here, and we're being punished because we did a bad thing, so hopefully that we get good enough so that God can take us back home. But we have to suffer now. My question regarding that, I wrote down, why do we need to reincarnate if we are spirit? Isn't that something? Why do I need, if the real me is a spirit being, why do I need to reincarnate? And it's that same philosophy, oh well, you have to learn lessons and blah blah blah. How many times do you have to do something to learn? They might say, oh well, you're not learning the lesson. It's that same Jesus mentality that, we're not good enough. You got to perform. Everything is performance based. And I'm tired of that. Okay, page 35 notes. The blood serves as a bridge between the spirit and body, says the author. Okay, this could explain for using plant meds like ayahuasca, not to eat fats because it hinders and weighs down spiritual activity. Yeah, I put an asterisk by that. Okay, what I'm saying there is, basically what I said earlier, that in order for us to have this spiritual uplift, to what they call to increase our energy, is that we need to have this plant-based diet, because plants is almost like pure energy, especially if it's organic. And it will raise our energy / vibration. So I'm going to be using those terminology a lot, energy or vibration, but I'm really meaning the same thing. Yes, and it also gave info about eating fats. Like, I've done ayahuasca, and before you take ayahuasca, you have to have a very strict diet for about 1 week upon doing the ayahuasca, and that certain foods could hinder your experience. So they advise you no sugars and no fats. Now, I know that, like, eating fats, fats goes through the lymphatic system. It travels through that vein system, and then it enters the blood. The nutrients enters from the fat. It then enters the blood. Okay, so that system, I'm thinking it might be part of the immune system. One thing, you have a large amount of fat going through that system, it's going to slow you down. It takes a lot of energy to break down the fats. So that might be the reason why our energy might be maybe getting lower or decrease, or vibration decreasing. So it's going to hinder that full experience. That's what I speculate based on this information. Page 36 notes. There is another bridge for the body, and that is radiation / energy. Yes, the author uses the term blood radiation throughout the book. And it's this blood radiation that you need to keep fresh or fed, to keep that vibration, because it serves to connect both the spirit and the body. And I have in my notes, you have the blood, which is connected to the astral body, and then the astral body is connected to the body itself. So it's like 3 steps. Three components of it. And so it's interesting. Like, I've also attended places where you learn astral projection. So if your blood / blood radiation, during the exercise, they have you do like a meditation, and then you actually have to focus and say, energy move, your energy move in your body, to vibrate and to move that energy throughout your body through, using your thoughts. And when you increase that vibration, okay, and I'm thinking that the blood chemistry must be at a certain state for you to do that, then your astral body in itself like peels away from the body. So it's interesting with the step of the blood radiation that is attached to the astral body, then the body. So it seems to be essential about your energy state. Page 37 I have, this radiation, referring to the blood, is like a magnet to bond to the body. This reminds me of astral projection, where some people hear a popping sound of release from the physical body. I've talked to people who have astral project, and some of the people, as my notes say here, that just before the astral body separates from the physical body, they hear a sound in the air. It's a noise, and then it's a release, a popping sound. Next I have here, based on page 54 of the book, if the body is cool, the separation of body/soul during sleep is better achieved. So I thought that was interesting. So a lot of us, to help facilitate this separation when you're in a cool state. Interesting, because the place where I was trying to learn how to do the astral projection, they like a cooler room. And I often had to bring a blanket with me. So that's really interesting, that the coolness. Page 58. The soul enters the fetus at approximately 4.5 months. Next I have here, based on page 59 of the book, before the soul enters the fetus, there has to be an attraction to the mom's soul. Wow. That is a hot one. Now, I never heard of anything like that. So there seems to be then that something with the mothers. If that soul has to, in a sense, hibernate somewhere, it has to have some type of affinity for the mom. And that means about attraction, and attraction means about the mom's vibrational state. So I guess moms out there, if you want a goodly child, I mean, I don't know, I'm just saying this, pardon tongue-in-cheek, if you want a goodly child in your body, before you get pregnant, those who plan pregnancies out there, to eat high vibrational food, if you, especially organic, if you could afford that, and drink your water, drink that fresh water. And so maybe that if you have that good high energy state, that a spirit that enters or a soul that enters into your fetus, it'd be something that would be compatible. Okay, next I have here, based on page 61 and 62 of the book, my change in blood energy may have made me have panic attacks. When that started to happen to me, I'm thinking maybe the change in my diet or some of the meds that I was on, when I was getting off of the medication, that it was a shifting in my blood radiation / blood energy force that's in the blood. And so the shifting from one state to another might have been attributing to my panic attacks. So any of you there who have, on certain types of medications, especially antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, that even weaning off of that, even with the help of your primary care physician, under their care, that it could still happen. You have side effects, and those side effects can cause anxiety and panic attacks. Next I have here, based on page 64 of the book, signs of possession could manifest as obsessive thoughts and passivity. Is this what's happening to me and other people? You ever start to worry about things that your mind is just keep on going on and racing thoughts, and you wonder how to turn it off? Well, again, like some of the new ages out there, they're saying about the energy shift, that it's changing. Your body is changing, and it's going to also affect your thoughts. Anything chemically that happens in your body, because you're biochemical, that is going to cause a change, and some of those changes could result in obsessive thoughts. So I guess that's where being able to meditate and to stay calm, because I see sometimes like going outside, it's a lot of stimulus out there, and it affects the way you feel when you get back. So if you can keep your home, maybe have soft music, to gaze at a candle, just to get more centered in yourself. Next, I also have here, based on page 64, okay, I have here, I remember watching a video of fat people who got sick eating healthy food. Could this be due to the releasing of old blood radiation to the new and the conflict when the two states collide? Yes, I had watched this program some time ago. Most of the people there had diabetes, and one particular person that was featured in this program was born with, I think he was born with type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, the person cannot make any insulin to deal with the blood glucose after a meal. And so these people, well, he got cured of his type 1 diabetes, and he got healed from his diabetes by changing his diet. He went on what they call a natural diet, and he got transformed, and he's very grateful. And so the people that helped him, they were in a documentary, and they featured some of the new guests / clients for this healing diet. And it was really something. Some of the people there, not eating good organic food, were making some of them feel sick. Interesting, isn't it? Very, very interesting. So I question here. I started thinking when I read the book, and I'm wondering again that when their body started to releasing the toxins, that this shift of that started to make them feel sick. So it was the releasing of the toxins was making them sick. The food, not the food per se, but the change in their body chemistry due to what they're eating, they're eating healthfully, that they're feeling sick. Some of the people didn't finish the program. Isn't that something? I would love to go to a program like that, a nice resort, and eat healthy food. I would go for it if I had money to do that. Next, on page 69, my notes about that page, I have here, the blood composition can change the person's outlook on life even though nothing had changed. Example I have here is low blood sugar leads to crankiness. Then I have here an asterisk. Is this why the food industry is altering our food to control us? In my opinion, yes. They are changing, they're changing the chemistry of the food. And that's another way how you can control people, by altering the food. And if it's to decrease our energy or vibrations, they're going to do that. You get in what they call you get lulled, and you get more passive or something more aggressive, but it's to control you. So I would say we have to get in control of what we eat. And that's why I wanted to grow my own food, even this little apartment, it's just to make me feel more empowered and to give me options. You don't have to eat what's presented to you. We have to take more control, because the name of the game is to try to control. And so say, okay, if that's the game, well, how to work around it. So we have to empower ourselves with knowledge, with information, and learn about what other options we can do to feed ourselves or to counteract what's being done to us. Okay, next I have, based on page 78, I have here that the author talks about the lack of the thyroid hormone would become deaf and dumb and refer to the person as a she. But throughout the book, the author uses he. I wrote down sexism. Okay. Yeah, I remember here now. Now, I noticed in books, virtually every book, whether it's a child's book or some report, research report, they use the term he this, he that, everything's he. And the author used he also, the book I'm referring to, but at one instant in the whole book, the author uses she. And the person used she when the subject was about being deaf and dumb. So I wasn't sure whether that was sexism, being manifested there, So, I mean, I might be nitpicking, but I thought it was interesting. Throughout a whole book, what's that, a pronoun is a he, but in one instant in the whole book, it's a she, and it's something of a negative nature. Page 87 of the book I have here, the author asks how the spirit of the ape changed to acquire the spirit of the human. That's interesting. How will that happen? See, that's with the thought about, evolution and Darwinism, that we're changing from one species to a so-called highest species. And so the question of this evolution, how and when, at what point did this human spirit enter the ape body? It's a very good question. Page 88. The answer was the blood radiation also had to change. Then I say, I think science indirectly is saying something genetically had to change it. I wrote down Anunnaki. Yeah. So the scientists, see, even a lot of times the scientists say certain things. They don't outright say that it was genetic manipulation. They know that there's something had to happen, but they don't say what. They leave that blank. But they know that for one thing to change, something had to change it, and they will not say what changed it. It could have just happened overnight. I mean, it could have just happened through chance and evolution. For a system to work within the body, it has to be pronto. It has to be everything operational. It can't just, hit and miss. No, it has to work, because if it doesn't work, that person's not going to live, and that person won't be able to reproduce, and so on and so on. So they're saying it. They're just avoiding what's really going on. They're dancing around it. Something changed it, and it wasn't by natural selection, by chance. Page 112. I write here that meatless diets detaches the spirit from the physical world. This can make one feel disconnected to world affairs, people, etc. Wow. Yes, the author made mention that meat, like you have a lot of vegans, people into spirituality, and like they say, if you eat especially red meats, it's a low vibrational food, and you become more like that. So when you have this meatless diet, the author noticed that, you just kind of just like, oh well, just go along in life like that, because you're not concerned about the physical world. You're more interested in the spiritual world, and so you don't care about politics. You don't care about a lot of things. I mean, that could be a plus, and that could be a minus too. And I do see in myself what initially attracted me to a vegan diet. I'm no longer vegan, but I did practice veganism for 9 months, about a year and a half ago. And I saw that, I didn't want to I felt turned off by the politics and stuff, and I wanted this spirituality. Yeah, I would say that the author is correct there. Okay, next I have here, should that be our goal towards spirituality? We still have to function here. Yeah, I have to function here. I have to still pay my bills and all that. So it's good to eat healthy, and if one chooses to want to be vegan or vegetarian, that is their choice, and they should have that freedom to do that. But if it's going to make you detached from the world, you still have to cope. You still have to take care of business. Page 132, my notes says here, author says to maintain and support proper blood radiation to help us to our paradise, in quotes, or spiritual home of origin. I gotta read that again. Author says to maintain and support, proper food and rage, help us to, I'm saying here that the author is concerned about our diet, and that by maintaining a good diet is going to improve our blood radiation, and we'll eventually go to our paradise and our spiritual home of origin. That was very interesting. I wrote some thoughts down based on page 139 of the book. I write here, I notice in New York City the contrast of the food markets. You have an increase in the dollar pizza shops, but you also have an increase in juice shops. The blood radiation in the population is getting polarized. Okay. What I meant by that is, like, if everything has to do a lot with our blood radiation, and that is often influenced by the type and quality of the food that we eat, and that I believe that a lot of these things, that you have people who are trying to control our behavior and our health by changing the food, the vibrations of the food, the quality of the food, to affect your body so it operates on a low vibrational state. But at the same time, that you have forces that are trying to work against that. So you have more pizza shops, and now we have what's called the the dollar pizza slice all over, everywhere. But at the same time, you have a lot of juice bars. So it's duality. You have both in operation now. But again, it is about choice. You have the pizza shop, but you also have the juice shops. But I notice you can't beat $1. And these juice places, they could be like maybe $7. It's a lot of money. Who has, for a little drink that you'll wolf it down in a couple of seconds? So we say, oh, we have it, it's available, but you're going to make it unavailable to a lot of people who may be on a fixed income, or they have modest income. Okay. I also have here, the author suggests that mentally, in quotes, mentally backward kids could be helped via changing their blood radiation. He does not say how to change it. Okay, the author made mention, I guess during his time, that he noticed a lot of children may have these conditions, and he thinks by changing their diets will it help their quality of life. But he doesn't say how to do it. But I guess by diet, by inference, I would guess he means diet rather than using the meds, which may be exacerbating their behaviors. Okay, based on page 140, I have notes that reads, based on the mother's blood radiation, that it will attract a certain type of soul into her pregnant womb. So, are the powers at large trying to influence the type of souls to be born? Begin to notice neighborhoods and how they eat. I noticed that certain neighborhoods here, they eat low vibrational foods, and by just looking at their the way they look and carry themselves, you start to wonder. I wrote here also, I worked at a WIC office, and we are being fed high-fat foods. Yes, I used to volunteer at a WIC office. WIC stands for Women, Infants, and Children. It's a free program for those who qualify, for mothers and pregnant ladies who are at risk during their pregnancies, or they have little ones under the age of 5. And it's a food supplementary program. And just an FYI, any of you who are watching this video and who may not have documentation to lawfully live here, but if you are a mother at risk, you have young children under the age of 5, go to a doctor, and you will be able to, you most likely will be able to get this free food supplemental program. You just go to any of these city-run hospitals, and you can apply. Okay, so it's free to apply. And again, they can always say no, but hey, if you're a mother at risk, a pregnant mother at risk, and you have little ones, and try it. Okay, so they can't deport you, to my understanding. You could be illegal, your kids could be illegal. They have to, they will help you. Okay, I just thought that was important to throw out. Okay. So yes, I noticed with the program, yes, the WIC program also has what they call a food for veggies and fruits, but it is minimal. But remember with the welfare, and they give a lot of cheese and peanut butter. These are high-fat foods, and as we learned earlier, when ingested, we all need fats in the diet, but not all fats are equal. and they don't act the same on your body. But food that has been processed with fat, it's a low vibrational food. And again, so if you have a poor or at-risk population who are being fed cheese and peanut butter, which are, fat, then again, just notice this population group and how they're going to act in relationship to other demographics that do not have a high-fat diet. So my last notes with regard to this book is watch what you eat. That was my conclusion about that. So I'm happy that I was able to relay the information that I read about this book. I think I learned some information that, about, again, confirming that about diet, the importance of diet, and that certain foods promote high blood radiation than others. And when you have a low blood radiation, you're going to have problems with behavior. You're going to be what you call radical. So just be aware, and be aware of your behavior. You start to see that, hey, I'm acting a little, you ask yourself, is your personality changing? Do you see you doing things, or are you getting the anxiety or the panic attacks, whatever? Start listening to your body and then do something about it. So I thank you for watching, and definitely if you have any comments, you can just write them below, and you can share this video with friends, family members. You could subscribe to my channel, Spirit Journey, and once again, give me the thumbs up. Bye-bye.